What's up, everybody? It's episode 25 of Beers in the Lot. This episode, we got to talk to Amber Moore, former defensewoman for the Metropolitan Riveters of the NWHL. We talked to her about her hockey background, how she got started, and how her path led her to professional hockey. And we talked to her a bit about how she's drawing on her experiences to help show that hockey is for everyone. Welcome to episode 25. All right, well, let's open beers. Johnny, you want to lead us off? What you drinking tonight?
I'm drinking Frederick Flying Dog's finest, Thunder Peel.
Ooh.
Yeah, every
orange,
time I think of that one blank C song, you know, you've been Thunder Peeled. I don't know. I just do it every time. It's just like, every time, like, I do it in my head when I go to the store to buy it, and when I see other people pick it up, I just like I hear that constantly in my head. I don't know why. I'm a child, but it's okay. Aaron, what are you drinking tonight, Aaron?
You know, I heard you bringing all these Red Shedman beers on the pod, and I just decided I was going to give one a try. I got a Red Shedman honey bourbon.
Oh yeah,
This thing is a 9%, and it tastes so good. It is like it's like smooth whiskey. It's delicious.
Wow.
Yeah,
love them.
Farmhouse Brewery, delightful.
Guess you're not editing tonight.
Not if I have a few more of these. What are you drinking, Daniel?
So I'm probably going to mess this up. It's a Ninkasi Brewing Company, Velociraptor.
Velociraptor?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it's another 19 ouncer, just so you know.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Baby duty again?
Yes, baby duty.
Yeah. Only one beer.
I'm going to have one beer, but it's the equivalent of 8 shots.
Exactly. What are you drinking, Rigo?
So, I had like neglected to go over to Attaboy for a while, which is bad because they're still going to help us out with one of our beer league teams. So I went over to Attaboy and picked up Danny Bro West Coast IPA, which is in honor of Danny and his newborn son and all the trauma and tribulation that he's going through right now. So cheers, Danny Bro.
Congrats.
Thank you.
And cheers.
Amber, what are you drinking?
Well, yeah, I'm double fisting. So I have a margarita in one hand that we got Mexican food last night, and they have some good marks, so we get them by the quart. And then a Peroni in the other hand, which was a random beer from outside.
Nice.
Yeah, nothing too wild, but double the fun.
Beers and margaritas and a lot. That's got a good ring to it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, welcome to the show, Amber Moore, former NWHL player for the Riveters. We are so excited that you decided to come on and talk to us tonight. We've got a bunch of questions for you.
Yeah. There's a lot. Where to start? No, thank you so much for having me. I'm pumped and excited to get to speak with you all.
Right on. So just so you know, Amber, if we like gaff or anything like that, need to take a break, it's fine. I edit it all up. So I just wanted to let you know.
Good. All right.
You could swear on this. Don't worry.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can swear if you want.
Yeah.
We're marked.
Love to drop a good F-bomb. I'm ready for it. Don't send it to my mom.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, we saw that one podcast where your mom was asking about the fish tank behind or something like that.
Oh, yeah. No, I was asking for my mom. Yeah, that was last week. It was actually hysterical. She sent me a picture today. She's now full on. I mean, it's like an episode of What Your Parents Did to Your Room When You Left. And she's legitimately painting the wall to make it look like they are rocks. So it's behind the fish tank. And I was like, this is some next level shit right now. I'm like, I'm here for the ride though. I just keep getting the messages and the picture updates. So always Christina Wilson, just what a woman.
That's awesome. That's back in Sunnyvale?
Yep, that is. Yeah, she's back there. The rest of the gang, most of my siblings are also back in the Bay Area. I have two rogue ones. One who's in Maine, and she's my older half sister, but she actually also played hockey and rugby back in the day. And then my other sister's out in Wyoming. But everyone else, the crew's all in the Bay Area.
Cool. We've come to hear that you grew up learning to play hockey in a parking lot of some importance to the internet.
I did. Where did you all get you guys did some deep internet research. You're out in the depths of the World Wide Web over there. Yeah, that's hysterical. Yeah, I mean, can I say Netscape on this podcast?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, no, I did. Where does that fact exist?
Yeah, there was when you were with the Riveters, there was an interview that you did, and the person that interviewed you like put the whole transcript up on some like it's like a Rangers, like New York Rangers kind of focused blog, but I guess they were covering Riveters also at the time. And so that was all up there. So like when we started like looking for stuff to talk about, we just like Google search, like Amber Moore Riveters, and that was like one of the top 4 things that came up on the search results.
Definitely don't remember, but thanks. It's making me feel relevant. I was joking last week. I was like, I played professional hockey for like a year, but it definitely like changed the rest of my life.
Right?
Yeah, because I'm like, some of the girls I play with now, like the women that I'm playing with, are like just as good as I am, and like didn't play pro. And I'm like, I'm happy to have the title and wear the badge, but you could have also totally played. Yeah. Do any of you all play on the firefighter team? Because
No.
Okay.
No.
Just had to ask.
No.
Or are you out? You're out in Frederick though, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we wrecked some havoc finally against them. No, I'm like playing on a women's team now, and we like put together a hodgepodge team back in October. Or like Z did, the woman who does all the ref coordination. She's actually also refing in the bubble up in Placid now, which is really cool.
Cool.
Yeah, and funny, awesome to see her on TV. But excuse me, she put together like a hodgepodge team, and we played the firefighters in October and like lost, like I think it was like 8-4 or whatever, but had a goalie that love her to death, but just wasn't ready for it. Like even before we were like playing like 3 days, I was like, do you know, like, are you worried about getting a concussion again or anything? Like she's had like more concussions.
Oh my gosh.
And she was like, no, I think I'm going to be okay. I haven't played goalie in like 6 months. I was like, okay. But after that, it like sparked a fire, and I was like, we need to revenge. We need to play against the firefighters and win. So anyways, continuing.
That's awesome.
Back to my Netscape childhood playing roller hockey.
Well, obviously that's roller, right? So like you started in roller, a typical like I guess American kid playing hockey.
V California
right?
too.
Like
very Cali, yeah.
Very few, not a lot of ice, right? So
yeah, I am admittedly though trash at roller. Like can't stop. Like just not great. Glad that didn't last long.
But then we saw too that you played for AAA Junior Sharks. Like how do you go from like starting out on roller and like not being very good at roller and then end up in a AAA program? Like what's the path, right?
Yeah, well so hockey in California when I was growing up, it's definitely grown a ton. Like once the Sharks started to get better, like the interest in hockey in the Bay Area like grew exponentially, and the interest in people playing. But when I first started out, I mean, I played roller like kind of on and off, and just like messing around outside in the backyard and like playing some street hockey. But started playing ice like when I was in like third, fourth grade, around there after abandoning the Barbie quad skates. And and then played for the Blue Diamonds, which were like one of the first California girls teams, like way back when. And it was U12, and it was like before the Sharks had a junior Sharks program, and like they were like the San Jose Blades, but they still skated, like the Sharks still skated at that same practice facility, which is named after like literally every like a rotation of tech companies. Like it was Logitech, and it was like Sun, like it was just, it's so funny. It's like what tech company bought that like Iceplex now. But anyways, and then switched over and like played boys hockey up until I was Bantam. And then I mean I'm like 5'9", so I'm a tall lady. but stopped playing boys hockey and then started playing like beer league women's and men's league and alongside playing for the junior Sharks, which was great just because like the competition was there and like I just lived at the ice rink. I used to skate at Ice Oasis, which great name for an ice rink, hysterical, palm trees in the front, like total vibe going on. Tragically closed like within the last year. Actually, it was like wild, but this guy Ken Yackel, who was like big Minnesota hockey guy, had like run all the hockey programs there, and I would like literally live at the rink. Like I worked at like I would work at Clean Solutions, which was a gear cleaning company, and like go into the locker room after games and be like, get your skate, like get all your gear clean, $27.50, and like pick up the bags and like, you know, make my little way, like paying for hockey. I was the oldest of 5. And then alongside that, like played junior Sharks, which was awesome. And like definitely still, it's a AAA program and they've grown like a ton since I've left, but playing hockey in California, like no matter what the cut is, you have to be the one like really getting your neck out there and like to get looked at by college coaches because you are on the West Coast. And like it's just, I remember like I took a high school like a video editing class and I like cut together footage of myself like playing hockey on a CD sent to ACDC and sent it to college coaches in the mail. Like it was like it was just things that would never be strung together in a sentence now, but that was like the reality.
Do you think that's still floating around out there somewhere?
Oh my gosh, I can only hope so. Probably the same thing like on that Netscape fact.
So, but that obviously worked, right? Because you end up at Cornell, which is, you know, not a slouch program.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was wild. Like when I was in 8th grade, I told my mom, I was like, I'm playing D1 hockey. Like I was like, this is what I'm doing. And I like one of my buddies, Julie Rising, she ended up skating at Bemidji for a year and skating at Syracuse, and my other buddy, Jesse Waters, who ended up at Colgate, like we would like wake up at like 5 a.m. during the summer and like skate on dead ice, like at Logitech, which is where the Sharks skate now and where the junior Sharks skate. And I don't even know how we really like even maneuvered that. Like our old coach, Tom Peterson, he used to play for the Sharks for a little bit and he played for Toronto for a bit. Taught me how to slap shot. Great guy. Also is like the inventor of the green biscuit. I'll plug that. Like those random like green pucks. Yeah, it's so funny.
Aaron's favorite.
I need some coupons.
He loves it. Oh wow.
Oh yeah.
I never hear the end of it either because it hasn't helped my hands.
I know. I mean, yeah.
I've practiced with it. It's not the puck's fault. It's mine, but it hasn't helped my hands.
Transforming brick hands. No. No, but we used to like skate with Tom like mad early, and then I don't even really know how it happened. But anyways, was super set on playing college hockey and had like the support of some of my buddies who were also had like the same goal. So that was super helpful in just being like, you know, we're all driving towards the same thing. Like Julie ended up going to NAHA, which was like a hockey academy in Vermont. My mom was like, hell no, you're not going to a place that doesn't legitimately have like, I mean, whatever. Like NAHA has some academics, but my mom and then got recruited at Shattuck St. Mary's. My mom's like, $40K for tuition? Nope, not with 5 kids. So I was like in California cutting my video, sending it out to coaches.
Nice.
And I'm like, I'm gonna do this. But yeah, like I had official visits to like most of the Ivies, and settled on Cornell for like, you know, the reason why every high school student settles on a college. I was like, they had great food. They have lots of different options for majors. I can do anything I want here. And I was like, I had a great time on my official visit. Like I went to Yale and like took the SAT too. If there's not something to cloud your judgment about a place, it's taking a freaking standardized test when you're there. Yeah, I was like, I'll wake up, see the hockey game on Friday, wake up at 8 a.m. and go take the SAT on Saturday in New Haven.
Yeah, no.
But no, I was happy I ended up at Cornell. It was like definitely the beginning of like the transformation that Cornell like went through. Not like they are, I mean, one of the top programs in the nation now, and like huge thanks to like Doug Durag, who started coaching. I think it was the year before I joined the team, or it could have also been my year, but like my year, they brought in like 14 freshmen, including Rebecca Johnston, who plays on Team Canada, and I would argue is like one of the top 3 players in the world. Wow. And just like phenomenal human, like so kind, so disgusting at hockey, like so humble. Like just watch any of the Olympic clips. She's number 6 on Team Canada, and it's just like she's a boss. But yeah, and it was definitely like I went from being a big fish in a small pond to being a small fish in a very large pond, and like did a fair amount of floundering, like rode the pine, got to play my sophomore year, and then played my freshman year too. And then like halfway through my sophomore year, there was like different dynamics on a team when you have like I dressed, but there was like 27 players on the team, 21 dressed, and like it led to a like really interesting like team dynamic that wasn't like the most conducive for everything. So like 8 of us ended up leaving the team at the end of my sophomore year, which was a whole situation in itself, but it was also like gave me a lot of time and space to like define who I was like in college outside of hockey. Although I did like immediately jump in and started playing rugby, which was good and a ton of fun. And I met like a huge group of like really awesome women, and then tore my ACL my senior year. So that was yet another opportunity to just be like, okay, cool. Like figure out who you are without sports entirely. But yeah, it was fun.
So where did the Netherlands come in?
By
the way,
oh my God,
it's really cool to meet a fellow Fulbright scholar.
You're cool. Oh, nice. Where'd you go? Give me your rundown.
My education up to that point really prepared me, and Fulbright said that I would be a prime candidate to continue on into middle school. So Fulbright Elementary School was
so planned. I love it.
It was fun. Oh my God. Actually, I'd gotten to use that joke before. When I was 7 years old, my family went to the Grand Canyon, and a bunch of Fulbright scholars happened to see the bumper sticker on the car that I got out of and asked who the Fulbright scholar was. And then my mom pointed to me, so they thought that it was just incredible that I was a 7-year-old Fulbright scholar. They didn't read the fine print where it said Fulbright Elementary School.
This is fantastic. That is hysterical. You also, I really hope it was like Fulbright, like student of the month. Oh my gosh, that's great! Wow, that's hysterical. Yeah, I'll give you the rest of my resume rundown. So, I was in Mississippi and teaching down there, taught high school bio, and it's like, man, if you ever want to go to another country, let me tell you, you can just travel down to Mississippi. It is part of our country, but it is definitely like the realest of the real. I was like, oh, holy cow, this still exists. Which I mean, like the things that are happening in Mississippi also exist in other places, but just in a lot more masked way.
Right.
But was down there and then wanted to be closer to family. And my mom's originally from Jersey. And so moved up to Brooklyn, New York, and pretty quickly, and was teaching at a charter school up there. And was pretty quickly like, okay, I need to like start playing hockey again. Like there's only so much like rollerblading on like legitimate back roads can like satiate my like love for hockey. But it also been like, working back from an ACL tear and like a complete, like I had full replacement of it. I have a nice little dead person's ACL in me. I have a little cadaver. And and so it was like, let me play hockey again. One of the guys that I was working with like played at Long Island City, and he was like, oh, just connect with the adult hockey director there. And so I like reached out. I was like, hey, I played at Cornell, like, would love to get back on the ice. Haven't played in a couple years other than, like random summers. And he was like, oh, I'll connect you with Rich. And so he connected me with Rich Furlong, who's Danny Ryland's brother. And Danny Ryland's was the commissioner of the league until a couple months ago. And Rich is like reaches out and he's like, yeah, like my sister played in Northeastern. You probably like run in the same circles. And so I started playing on Rich's team, and then it was just like, just like casual beer league hockey, which was awesome. It's perfect. Just what I was looking for. And then Danny was like, you should come out, and we have this tournament team, and we're going up to Lake Placid. And so I remember like emailing out to listserv. I was like, who's going from Brooklyn? And like my now like good friend Cherie was like, oh, I'm leaving from Brooklyn. I was like, all right, can I catch a ride with you? And so I like get in the car with like Cherie and like 2 other buddies that I like don't know anyone. And we go up to Lake Placid, have an absolute blast. Like Danny is hysterical. The team like really gels. It's a bunch of women who like used to play in college. And we, at the end, like win the tournament. It's like Empires, stay at our buddy's house, and had a great time. And at the end, we're like, well, maybe we should like just put a team in for nationals. And so put like the same team together, go out to Green Bay, have a blast. And like Danny started to talk about how she's like, you know, forming this league, and we're in Green Bay at nationals, and like the news breaks to like Yahoo, like someone like leaked it that it was like starting, that the NWHL was starting. And so that was like the weekend where it's like everything sort of exploded. And Danny asked Sheree and I, the woman who like picked me up originally back to drive up to Lake Placid, like she was like, you both should totally try out. So we tried out, got a spot as like practice players on the squad. Both Sheree and I are like, we don't know what we're signing up for. I was like, I haven't played organized hockey in like 7 years. Like this is, you know, this is so awesome, but like also it's like, it was like a wild opportunity. And I was also like, all right, this is, you know, I went from like not playing hockey to just like diving full into this. But it was definitely like by and large, like one of the best decisions that I made in my life. So the first season, it was just like electric. We were playing in Brooklyn, like had the opportunity to just like be there for like all those like red ribbon cutting moments of like the city and like giving us certificates, and like all this, like the Rivers fans were like phenomenal. And so many of the same faces, I think this is like one of the coolest pieces, like so many of the same faces that are like in the game now, like Erica Ayala, who's doing like the play-by-play commentating now, was like there the first season, and was like her and her sister Jessica like running around, like everyone's so excited about women's hockey. And it's just like, this is possible. Like we're filling, you know, Aviator Sports Complex, like out in Flatbush, Brooklyn, like with fans. And then it was like the partnership with the Devils, and I was going to grad school at Columbia like at the same time. So I was like working full time, going to grad school part time, and like playing on the Riveters on the weekends. Like there was a time where I was like on a bus came home from Buffalo, got in at 5 a.m., was like in my classroom at 7 a.m. And it was just like fucking zombie. I don't even understand. Yeah. The amount of sleep that I used to run off of when I was 27, very different than the amount of sleep I need now. I feel for you, whoever just had a kid. My wife and I got like a puppy, and I was like, ooh, this is good. I think I might have maxed out by but yeah, it was amazing. But then once they moved out to Brooklyn, or from Brooklyn out to Jersey, I was like, the whole piece with like grad school, working full time, like not there, it's not as sustainable. And still, if you're living in New York City, it's definitely not sustainable, like salary to live off of, which is the tragic truth of like where it is now, and like, you know, the clear gap between where it is now and like where it needs to be. And like that same gap has been bridged in like women's soccer, and it's been bridged in the WNBA, and it's like it's only a matter of time. And I think that this past, the bubble, and also just like the Olympics, like shows that like people are interested in women's sports, and like it is a gap that can't be bridged. So I think that's huge. But to get back to the Fulbright thing. So yeah, I was going to grad school, working full time, made the decision that I got asked back to play for the second year, but I was like, this is awesome, but like I have to make a living. And so like I had to make that choice. And I was like, you know, this sucks, but like I also like need a graduate degree and blah, blah, blah. Like I have, you know, other things for that. But had always wanted to, you know, study education policy at like a larger, more macro level. And so applied for the Fulbright and was able to go to the Netherlands, which I brought 2 bags to the Netherlands, and you better believe one of them was my hockey gear. Like it was awesome. And like an amazing experience. I mean, I lived like by myself. I'm the oldest of 5, but like lived by myself. I had a roommate, but like I was on my own in another country for like the first time. I'm like, this is a big thing. But like had reached out like 6 months prior to like my buddy who I played ball hockey with on the US team. She had like lived in the Netherlands with her husband out in Utrecht, and so she like connected me with like a couple of contacts that she had, and it was like, you know, just the same way that like we got connected. It's like the hockey coconut tree, and like all of a sudden you're like talking to someone who you don't know, but you kind of know like 5 other people and they know them. And ended up playing on this team called Cool Mokum, which is like old like Yiddish like phrase for Amsterdam, and they were hysterical. I love them so much. Like one of the guys, like Chaco, like used to play. He played on the like the, you know, Miracle Olympic year. Like he played on the Dutch team and like in Lake Placid. And
wow,
the European game is also like so different. Like they like pass. It was so it was so funny. Like any men's beer league you go to, you're like, oh, am I gonna get to? Like, are they gonna pass me the puck, or are they just gonna be sort of like assholes and like,
Right.
puck
Just
hogs?
rag the puck around.
Yeah. And it was like the first time I remember like looking at them, and we would always like go to this little bar afterwards and like have drinks on like every Tuesday night after practice, which was just a scrimmage. There was like this 93-year-old man like Wim who would come out and like drop the puck and blow the whistle every minute and a half. And I remember like looking at them and just being like, you guys, I mean this in like the highest compliment. Like, you all play like women. Like, you see the ice well, you set up plays, you pass the puck. Like, to the point where sometimes I was just like, just fucking shoot. Like, but it was hysterical. So that was a Fulbright. Then I moved, to DC, and here we are. But there's like some, and played, and now I'm like coaching a women's team. It was funny. My wife wanted to get involved in hockey when I moved here, and I was like, this is like this is like a commitment. Like, this is like an every weekend sort of thing, and like we'll be at the rink. And she's like, you just don't want me to play. And I was like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I've lived this life before, and like this is what it sort of entails. And so it was funny / not funny, but she like, due to like other commitments, and like she got injured like her first year. She's fine now, and she's back to playing, and clearly very involved in hockey. But she ended up making, I think, like 3 games the first season. I was like coaching, so I was at the rink like every single weekend. And Lindsay's like, all right, I'm gonna go to Minnesota and like hang out with my uncle and go to a Vikings game. And I was like, all right, cool. I'm like, this is what I said would happen. But it's so funny. So now it's like I'm coaching and playing on this women's team, Chesapeake Bay Lightning, that has been an absolute blast, and like doing some heavy-handed recruiting for the team, which has been so funny. I went from like 0 to 100. I was like, I don't know if I want to play organized hockey again. And I'm like, all right, and you went to RPI, like come play with us. I was like, my buddy Stretch, who coaches the Riveters, like moved to Baltimore, and I was like, you have to play on our team. It's gonna be great. And now she's like recruiting people too. She's like, Lando, who plays on the Connecticut Whale, she's like, come down on the 27th. We're gonna play at Wayne's Pond.
Man.
It's so funny. I mean, it's a lot like. Like hockey it's the greatest game. It's the greatest game.
And it's a small community, right? So like,
oh yeah,
like you said, like it's I know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody else, and that's how you do it. I want to go back to what you said, like when you told the guys in the Netherlands, like you play like women.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is a serious question or not, but so John and I, well, John doesn't coach anymore, but I still coach youth hockey because my son's still playing, right, and everything.
How old's your son?
He's he'll be turning 13 in March, so he's Pee-wee 12U, right? So
nice.
But we've always had at least half a dozen to like 10 girls playing in the programs, which is awesome, and it's starting to grow, which is awesome. But what I've noticed is like the girls, especially at those ages, are way more coachable than the boys are. And what I wanted to ask was why is that? I mean, I have my own
like
theory,
developmentally, I could give you my teacher answer. No.
either that or your personal opinion, but like I always find that like they're way more coachable. And there was a situation 2 seasons ago where we took the boys to a tournament, and we played against an all girls team that was at like, it was like an A level or something, whatever that tournament was. And the girls absolutely killed our boys. And I told them before the game, because they were all like, it's a girls team. It's a girls team. I said, you guys need to stop focusing on that.
Yeah.
You need to focus on like what you need to do in this game. Like, these are the things that, these are the 3 or 4 things that we need to try and accomplish, whether we win or lose. Right. And they just, I don't know if they were distracted or like what was going on, but like they got completely just killed in the game. And we come back
they were
off the ice.
probably just worse at hockey. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, no, honestly, like, and the thing was, is it was great because the coaches and I would go back in the room, and I go through the 3 or 4 things that we were going to do, or we wanted to try and do. And I said, tell me what they did, right? And they're like, they have different answers and stuff. I said, no. They did the things that we asked you guys to do, because their coaches are probably asking the same thing and they're like responding to that. You guys are not responding to that. That's the difference. And the light bulb didn't go off, right? Because they don't understand at that age. But that's so my question really is like what is that? Like, obviously developmentally they're ahead, but like, what is that difference, right? Like, why?
Yeah.
It's
I think that, like, I don't know, like my gut answer, and I mean, you take this for what it's worth, but I think that there's a lot of like conditioning for boys where they like end up thinking that a lot of what they're doing is like right and getting validated. And for girls, it's like not always that case. It's sort of like, okay, like tread a little bit more lightly. And then I also think the dynamic of like having women or like having girls like playing hockey, you already like see that gender dynamic and you already sort of know that you're in a territory that like it's becoming more and more like a game where both men and women are able to play. But at the same time, it's like the resounding narrative is that it's men's hockey and women are playing it. Like even when we played the fucking firefighters, somebody was like, you're playing, like it was getting physical. Like they like literally in one of the pictures, it's hysterical, but they're like pushing, like shoving one of our players who's like maybe 4'11", like in front of me. And they're like, you're playing men's hockey. And I was like, half of us on the ice are women. We're all playing hockey.
Right.
Like,
it's just hockey,
and so,
right?
Yeah. And so I feel like that mentality sort of for like a young girl too, of knowing that it's like you're playing a sport inherently that like you aren't, like the narrative isn't that you're going to be great at it, And so I think that, at least in my mind, it makes me eager for feedback and eager to get better and eager to beat some boys.
It gives you that motivation, right? Like,
there's a little extra bit of
sure.
juice when you use it. I know Eric, it was funny him mentioning us coaching girls, and that was my first head coaching gig essentially. So I was doing private lessons and then group skills class and summer clinics and stuff. And what happened was they had two girls teams at our rink, and this was years and years ago before Eric started coaching, and they had a U14 team and then a U12 team. But the U12 team essentially was a U10 team, but they had one girl who was 11, so she had to play with the U12s pretty much. And they lost the coach, whoever it was, 2 days before. That guy decided to bail, and it was something where the hockey director is like, hey, do you want to coach a team this year? And I was kind of, I was like, I kind of like, doing the classes and the private lessons. I kind of make my own schedule, I'm not living there completely at the rink. And I was like, well, when's a practice? I'll go run a few practices. And I never heard that it was a girls team. Not that there's anything bad with that. But I showed up and I'm like, oh, it's the girls team. And I come from a family, I have a twin and a younger brother, and grew up playing with all boys. So in terms of coaching, girls or being around a ton in the sports environment, it was very minute, but it was still one of the best seasons I ever had, because any aspect regarding a team, not only were the girls fully in, but they were more invested in the whole team concept. They didn't care if they scored goals that day as long as they won. Versus boys at that age, even if they could win 100-0 and there's a kid pouting in the corner, he's like, well, Johnny got 3 goals and I only got 1. It's not fair, and it's like, and especially at that age, it's more, skills and hockey and fun and team. And I still say that was the best experience I had coaching. And we beat a ton of boys teams that year too. That was pretty awesome.
So I'm like, well, I'm 32 and I'm like, we beat the firefighters. I just want to make all
I know. But I remember kind of very similar to what Eric said. I remember, so I would do private lessons for some of the kids in the, in the squirt division when they would play some of the girls teams, like, oh, we play your girls team this weekend. It's a boy being a young boy, like, we're going to beat those girls. Ha ha. And I was always kind of joking. I'm like, I don't know about that. Like, I watched your last game. Our girls are skating a little better than you guys. And sure enough, there would always be one or two, little boys who got their hearts broken because they got shut out or something by the girls team. So, but it was always fun, and I love that kind of about youth sports. Like you see an interesting dynamic right off the bat, regardless. And I only can say it for hockey, but I'm sure it's the same for all sports, really. Especially there's a lot of stigma. I mean, clearly, even going up to the beer leagues with the firefighters, going, you guys are playing men's hockey, but really, at the end of the day, like you said, it's hockey. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's hockey. It doesn't matter.
I mean, like literally 50% of the people on the ice are women.
It's even funny, kind of what you said about when you played over the Netherlands with the Jerry Hattricks over there. All the old guys, just like how it was. You're still doing the same thing after the game, where even though it's a practice, everyone wants to scrimmage. No one wants to do drills when you're above the age of probably 10, really. I mean, realistically, we all want to kind of play game stuff. But you would go out for beers or drinks and you're just shooting the shit. And it's the same over there. I'm sure it's the same everywhere. So
yeah, I mean, talk about beers in the lot really exploded with COVID. Great name. I mean, I don't know if you all are playing hockey currently. The things that we've done in parking lots since we started playing again, I was like, this is wild. Why haven't we been doing this all along?
you don't know the half of it from our parking lots.
You don't know the half.
Seriously.
Do you all have like a fire pit? We've played spike ball before. We're really going all out.
Pit.
We have stories for 45 minutes about fire pits and burn barrels
and shopping carts that are on fire.
Oh my gosh!
You know how
wildlife, strange characters that come through. You have no idea. Parking lots are where it's at.
I need a follow-up episode just to hear about the wildlife.
Shopping carts. We have guys with guitars. Yeah, guys.
Oh, that's a good episode.
Guys with guitar.
Yeah.
I love it. That's hysterical. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, it's been great. I was like, I don't know if I'll ever go back to a locker room. This I don't get kicked out, there's always like a back-to-back people booked in locker rooms. So the number of times I've been tapped by a youth hockey person being like, you guys need to stop drinking in the locker room.
I mean, we're pretty fortunate. We've been doing the parking lot shtick for a long time, just due to the fact that we have a ton of guys that we play with regularly, and also we're pretty fortunate with our Sunday slots most times, where we have an 8 and 9 o'clock slot. So there's normally a 10 o'clock and then a 10:30 game. Right after us. So we've been pretty fortunate where we go out and we can, just enjoy kind of just hanging out, shooting the shit and
Nothing
stuff.
good happens after midnight, though.
This is true.
We have to leave by midnight.
We have a midnight rule. Nothing
as long as the beer is
after midnight.
Cracked before midnight.
Right.
At 11:59.
As long as you open the last beer before midnight. It could be at 11:59, doesn't matter. Last beer's open before midnight, and then we're done, because lots of things have happened after midnight that
the stories that can't be
makes
told.
for a tough Monday.
Yeah.
That's too funny. No, that's the best. Man.
So going back to you were talking about it before, that you basically had to make a choice between playing hockey and possibly not knowing if you were going to make enough money and pursue a career.
For sure.
It made me think of one of the Buffalo Buttes players who had to work and couldn't go to the Buffalo. Taylor Kersey,
Poor little Kersey. I know. Lindsay,
she's a captain.
My wife was just talking about how big, the Kersey dent has been. I don't know if you all have been following the scores of the bubble, but they got slammed by Boston. I mean, Boston's looking great, Bracken's looking great, but Lindsay was even talking on Open Ice tonight. She was like, a Kersey's absence is definitely being felt. Buffalo needs someone to put the puck in the back of the net, and the goaltender's standing on her head. So gotta help her out.
Amazing, but the forward presence on the Buttes is just, hasn't been there like it's been on some of the other. Definitely not like it's been on the Pride.
Oh my
Or
gosh,
some
yeah,
of
the
other
Pride
teams,
in
yeah.
Toronto is also looking so good.
Yeah.
6 had a
Unreal.
slow start, but man,
Six.
I know.
after
I'm glad
game
that the
2,
Rivers,
they picked it up.
glad the Rivs got that 1 W though. I was like, hold on to
I
that
know.
before you have to leave the bubble.
I was really following. I was really upset they got COVID actually, because I was tweeting about it and I just couldn't bring myself to, kind of either jump on a wagon of another team or go, oh, I'll start, following this team. It was kind of really in on the Riveters, so I was like,
As you should be. This is
kind
the
of
right
bent.
answer.
Yeah. But actually, it's funny. It's funny now. This week we're talking about all the goals that are being scored in the bubble,
Mhm.
and a week ago for all the games, it was more. Man, the goalies are so good. What's going on here? Like no one can score. I mean, the Riveters lost that one game. They scored with what?
Oh my god.
10
like,
seconds
10 seconds
left.
left.
10 seconds
I know,
left.
on a 5-on-3.
Penalty,
Yeah, on a
Packer.
5-on-3. Thanks. Yeah.
Oh, it's not good.
And I was watching that, and the whole time I'm like, get to OT, get to OT. Just like
Yeah.
a normal hockey game, it's the same thing. When it's the end of regulation, you have a penalty kill. It makes me bite my knuckles, regardless of what's going
Right?
on. I'm like,
Right?
oh, just get to OT, just get to OT, get to OT. Damn it!
Yeah. It was
Oh.
so sad. So sad. Oh god. Such a close game. But I mean, yeah, the history of penalties on the Riveters is not it's not a short list. Especially not to call out Packer, but geez Louise. Ugh.
Well, weren't you involved in like a line brawl on the Riveters?
I was. That came
Yeah.
up definitely next to the Netscape fact. Oh gosh, along with my mom and the fish. Yeah, I was playing in Connecticut, and I mean, say like I mean, I was joking with one of my new teammates. I was like, if there's anyone I'm ever going to stand up for, it's definitely Stretchy. But Stretch is like, I mean, she's coaching the Riveters now, but is on her way back currently from Lake Placid going through a couple hoops first to get home. But she was captain of the Riveters, and that girl you saw probably on YouTube, dirty as fuck. She like just fucking cross-checked
She
it.
came in full speed.
Yeah, and I mean, transparently, like right before, it was funny. I didn't share this last week, but I'll share it here because why not? No, like transparently, like right before the Riveters season, like I had like gone through this breakup, and I think I had like some pent up like aggression, definitely. And I was like, I'm a gentle giant. Like any penalty I get, it's just because I'm a big girl. It's not because I'm like intentionally trying to hack you. Although last night when I was playing goalie, I was like jumping out at things because I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Like, let me just try to jump this. But I like saw red, like couldn't even really tell you about the moment. Was just like, that's messed up, and then just went and punched. I was like, I've never punched anyone in my life. And I like just went ham on that moment. But yeah, so that happened, and then everyone came off the bench, and it was so funny because Danny had like said jokingly at the beginning of the season, like someone had brought up fighting, and Danny was like, yeah, whatever, just get it on camera if you do it.
Yeah, right.
And I just remember being like, oh my gosh, and that whole thing happened. And that's like, my claim to fame now. I'm like, yep, this is so don't expect that in the future, but no. No, it was hysterical. But I would stand up for Stretch in a battle for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, funny you mention that. It's like the same thing. Like there are certain things that could happen on the ice to certain people, and I probably wouldn't do a thing about it. Knowing myself, I would chime in, of course, with my mouth. That's what I'm good at. But there are a few things, depending on who does it, I'd cross-check them from behind, slew foot them, whatever. It's the way it works. You kind of feel like, oh, that's my teammate, you scumbag. Yeah.
Well, now I have to ask, I've been trying to work on my chirp game. What's your best chirp?
Oh boy.
We have to cut some of this. We can't.
Well, John has a distinct advantage because he plays the same people over and over again, so he knows everything about them. That's
well, no,
he can cut straight to the core.
No, we all do because we play with the same 60 guys every week. So like,
but it's about what's effective for that day too.
Okay.
There are.
Can you walk me through your process? Like, how do you find that one that really?
So normally, there's a few things. So I'll be honest. I wouldn't say this is chirping 101, but I guess it depends because we'll have to
No, it
cut
is.
some of this.
It
We'll have to cut some. So if it's something where, let's say, said skater just keeps doing the same dumb mistake, like offsides, and they either get on your nerves where they touch you with a stick. However, if they make a mistake, or they're going to make a mistake, just shout out that mistake at them as they're either doing it or on the ice. So there's a few defensemen in our league where I know if they have the puck, I'm instantly shouting as I'm going in on a forecheck. You'll cough it up, don't worry. Like just yell at them, stuff like that. Like pass it up the board, shoot it.
Okay.
And then
I like
if you
this.
really want to just get mean, you just kind of like say stuff like about how their mom should have swallowed them and stuff like that. Like really just like I've said it to people before. Like, I don't care.
Make sure the episode is set to explicit.
We played in our Johnstown tournament, same tournament that Goody goes in, and there was this guy on the other team named Dragoon. That was his last name on the jersey. And he just kind of like would hack people here and there. Well, we have a guy on our team who, for some odd reason, every time he goes up there, he thinks he's Billy Badass, and he'll like go into situations like he's either going to start something or do something, and then at the last second, he doesn't defend himself. Kind of where you play hockey long enough, So if it's kind of in between play, and I'm just randomly skating up to you with kind of a look on my face, to either have your hands
get your hands up,
your chest, or like your hand, like you're alert, you're ready. Well, he will do kind of that until he gets like 5 feet, and then he drops his hands and kind of just stares at him. Well, so he got dropped, and so two things were kind of funny. He got dropped. I started laughing, but I did start skating over there. And the guy, I'm 5'1", so I'm kind of short, kind of actually. So
if you're saying you're 5'1", you're like actually 5 feet.
Yeah. So because it's actually 5'2".
That same sort of energy is what you take to the ice. That's tripping 101.
Yeah, that's it right there.
That's it right there. But so I've heard every single short joke in the history of man. I also get ahead of some of them just because it's easy to poke fun at myself, and
and then you just like lean in.
Well, and I'm a firm believer of if you can't make fun of yourself or take a joke, you can't make a joke.
Yeah.
So you turn around and you're like, I'm actually 4'11".
Yeah, exactly. So, so he was chirping the midget stuff, and I just he had the dragon. I was like, go watch Game of Thrones and jerk off to dragons, you fucking loser. He like the best thing is like two people on our own team. One was Goody because it was kind of there. He goes, did you tell him to go jerk off to dragons? I was like, yeah. He's like, why in the world does that even make sense? I'm like, you didn't see his name? He's like, oh wow, that's like high level stuff.
Yeah,
like,
that's some deep shit.
That dragon burn. I mean, flame.
I've used that. I've used that like tons of times, just because a lot of people are so like, that doesn't even make sense. Why are you saying that? Like they kind of stop. Like it's just
I know.
You Googled him on a bench, didn't you?
Yeah.
I appreciate this lesson. I feel like my chirps are normally I'm like, your skate's untied, and then I'm like, oh god, I have nothing else.
Tell it to the firefighters. They won't know what to do. They'll be confused.
Go watch Game of Thrones and jerk off to dragons.
I know. Yeah,
but that doesn't make sense. They don't have a dragon.
They don't. Yeah.
Tell them to go play with their hoses.
Go play with their hoses. Yeah, go play with your hoses.
Go play with their hose.
Yeah. Tell them to grow a mustache and sit around. Just tell them
they already have too many. I was calling the one guy Mr. Potato Head. I was like,
oh yeah. See? Yeah. You're fine. You don't need any help. You're fine. If you're doing that stuff.
Well, all behind the back, not in the moment. I gotta like quicken up I like the process though. Figure out what they're doing and then yell at them.
Yeah, it's like the next day for me. It's like, man, that would have been so good.
I think John had the best nickname for somebody. Ostrechkin.
Oh yeah, that dude. He was like 300 pounds and just good enough to think that he was good, even though he's still bad.
Oh, he was a dick.
And he was filling up that jersey.
And
he was like an NHL shopped at NHL.com Ovechkin Capitals like licensed jersey in a pickup or something, and he was filling up that
What?
jerk. Yeah, we called him Ostretchkin.
Oh, Stretchkin.
Yeah, I call him a stretch guy.
Oh my gosh, that's hysterical. That is too funny. Wow.
I guess I'm the resident jerk.
Yes.
Dude, I've been on your team numerous times. You're chirping me when I'm coming out of our own zone.
Oh yeah, he yells at everybody. He yells at everybody. It doesn't
He's
matter.
indiscriminate.
I'm
That's
a
how you
menace.
get good at it, though. Just
Yeah, you gotta
stand-
practice
Yeah,
it.
don't stand in the
But-
line of fire.
I mean, I'll be honest. Like, and you're probably the same way playing with the same people. Even if you kind of chirp your teammates, I find it. I like chirping my own teammates better because I think it brings us closer together in a funny way. Because then when I make a mistake, if no one says anything, then I'm a little upset because I don't want to
Yeah.
yell
Yeah.
at myself. Then I seem like a crazy person. But
Yeah.
like, but
Oh,
also
so
we
funny.
play, like I said, the same 60 guys. So, and some they're almost accustomed to it. They know they're going to get yelled at this point or chirped. This is great. Makes
So do you
makes
guys
everything
do you play
go around.
against the donkeys then,
Well, so
or like
yeah,
in normal times?
As the bros.
yeah. So
Well,
we did
did
once,
years
yeah.
ago,
So the league where it's like the same 60 guys, that's the old fat ball guys hockey
Uh-huh.
league, which is it's like a social club. It's like the Elks or the Eagles or whatever, basically. So like it's supposed to be over 35, but like it's not really. Like there's some guys that are, younger or whatever. But it's all about attitude, right? Like there's no
Mhm.
dicks.
Yeah.
Nobody's getting really upset about things that are going on out there. Like, John can run his mouth and do whatever, and like nobody's going to get super upset at him and stuff because everybody knows.
Somebody can throw
And-
their stick like a spear and nothing happens.
yeah. Well, no. Okay. Yeah.
You might get an email.
Yeah. Somebody
You might
could
get an email.
Yeah. Somebody might get an email for throwing their stick like a spear at somebody after they got bumped into or whatever. Yeah.
It was no one here. I can say
And-
that.
No
and
one,
then-
definitely
no
not.
one.
None of
I
us.
agree.
It
and
really
then
wasn't.
they went up
You
to
would
the other
never.
guy and they like kind of like grabbed their jersey and shook him around a little bit, and they got a penalty for roughing for that, not for throwing their stick.
There's a
Like they
spearing
were-
penalty. This is
Right.
like the perfect time
No,
for spearing.
but it wasn't like spearing.
Yeah, it wasn't
like
a straight
jabbing
No,
your stick
it was,
at it.
It was like a
It was-
javelin.
It was like trying to hunt like a gazelle. Like,
And I'm pretty sure,
like,
Aaron, I'm pretty sure, Aaron, if you throw your stick like a spear, that's not a spear. That's a match penalty. Last time I checked.
yeah, like get out.
There's 100
like,
times,
whatever.
yeah.
But other than that,
Other than
everybody's
that, no one-
everybody's
no
pretty
dick.
Everybody's
cool.
good, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Right,
we've,
right.
and
And
we've
then-
had
and-
flare ups too. We've
and
had
the-
little flare ups. Yeah.
The whole beers in the lot concept really came from what happens after those games. So it's 60
Mhm.
guys, it's 4 teams. We redraft the teams every
Oh.
3 months, whatever the season is, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. There's
and
never
then-
been an instance where all 4 of us were on the same team. There's
Right.
rarely been an instance where 3
And
of us
then-
were on the same team.
And then after
wow.
It's fun,
after
yeah.
after the 2 games, all 4 teams are outside in the parking lot hanging out, talking, telling
Ah.
stories, talking about what happened in the games, making fun of each other, talking about movies, talking about music, whatever it is.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So that's really like where like that we stole the concept from OFBG essentially. Like,
But as far as donkeys go,
Actually-
like, we play with them. Like a lot of times, we get some of the guys that play donkeys that are crossover
Yeah,
friends and all that.
like
that come play
most
pickups
but
and
see then
everything,
there's
so.
like the Skate Frederick Adult Hockey League, which is what the donkeys usually
Not as
like,
exclusive.
right. So it's just
Right.
like that's
Yeah.
like the general population, right?
Yeah.
At Skate Frederick.
Yeah.
The civilians.
So,
Gen
The
Pop.
civilians.
Gen
Yeah.
Right.
Gen Pop.
and so
Gen
so
Pop.
the
Gen Pop.
so the donkeys have like they usually have like 3 or 4 teams in at different levels, right? So there's A, B, C, D, whatever it is, right? And so those of us who play in that league too deal with the donkeys all the time. And
Sounds
You
like
know,
you're done with them.
there's some good there's some good people on some of the donkeys teams, but I mean, we don't want to make generalizations, right? But in general, when you're playing a Donkeys team, you could expect some sort of dickish behavior to happen. Somebody's taking the game too seriously, even though
haven't played a season in summer at Laurel, I could see how that could potentially be the case.
No way, not them.
No, I have to say.
Not them. No, say it ain't so.
So, again, okay, so my beer tonight was from Attaboy Beer, which is a local brewery in Frederick, and that team came out of a couple different teams that were in the adult league. One of the players happens to be the owner and head brewer over there, so we started playing as Attaboy, and we've played against the Donkeys numerous times, and every time we play against them, there's some kind of bullshit that goes on. We could play every other team. We could play teams that are full, in the summertime, we could play teams that are full of kids that are still in college, and they have whatever's going on in their head and their competitive spirit or whatever, but it's still a clean game. Whenever we play the Donkeys, it's like there's some bullshit that goes on. And yeah.
I'm glad that I have the whole backstory, because I have a couple select Donkey slices, right? So I played the Gold Summer League 2 years ago with the Donkeys, and then befriended Dylan, who then connected me with Maddie, and
right on,
Dylan all the time.
And Dylan's good people, man. He's
little
cool.
tent in the Laurel parking lot. We walk out of Laurel. I was skating there on Saturday night. We walk out. My wife's like, "Who set up a tent?" And I was like, "Oh, that's Dylan." I was like, "Dude."
Yeah.
And he's like, he's inside the tent, fully cannot see me.
She's like, "Hey, who's a creepy guy over there in the tent?"
Yeah, and I was like,
"That's my friend,
homeless man." Yeah.
That's my friend. We're gonna go bring him this bag of food.
It's a ginormous tent. I was like, wow. Everyone is just getting very creative.
And too, that's the other thing, because when we played, Rigsby and I played on a team years ago, the Dirtbags, and we would always play the Donkeys, and we would massacre other teams just because at that time everyone was lumped together, whether you're B, C, A, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
We would massacre other teams and have a blast. Wouldn't have a single issue. Those guys would, they didn't like that the game was out of hand, but we also weren't mean about it. We weren't doing anything crazy. And then we played the Donkeys teams, and those were always I wouldn't say it was to the effect of you'd circle it on your schedule, but it's oh great, got to play them tonight.
Have to deal with that.
Got to deal with that. And then we even played. So a few years ago, we did this tournament, and in the A division, there was 4 teams. So it was us, which was the Brochachos, which, by the way, out of our men's league dynasty, we sent 3 kids to NCAA, right?
Yeah.
Was it 3?
Yeah, we had 3.
We had 3
We had
kids.
3 players that went Div 1.
Div 1
from our summer
men's
league beer
From
league.
our summer beer league team.
Because us.
And they played with you growing up, and then went D1.
No.
We probably corrupted them.
Yeah. We're probably the reason they only played for a year or 2. But so we played in a tournament. There was Scores, which is the club down in Baltimore. They were sponsored by that, the Gentlemen's Club. And it was actually, we lost. We actually just played them in the championship game and lost by 1 or 2 goals, but it was really hard fought. There was a little bodying, but nothing was bad. It was all clean, and when they would kind of bump you on the boards,
good game.
It was all for puck protection. It wasn't I'm going to hit you because you're 2 feet from the boards, not looking. We played the Donkeys team. We massacred them, and it was one of the most ridiculous things ever, because every single thing they got very bent about, including when Mr. Goodwin got the water bottle knocked off the net on a backhand, and a friend of ours drank out of that water bottle.
One of the best players that we know, he went backhand. He was he was on the goal line, backhand water bottle, hits the ice. He goes back behind the net. He picks it up, takes a drink, and puts it back on top of the net.
Yeah.
And
Oh
they
my
went
gosh.
ape shit.
They went ballistic.
They were
Oh
so
my
pissed.
gosh. I mean, who needs a chirp when you can do that? I just
Exactly.
That was the most G move I think I've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
That
Oh,
is
man.
wow. Just the quick thinking too.
Yeah.
Like to go back
Yeah.
on.
It was all
Also,
one
definitely
motion.
A pre-COVID move. We're not sharing water
Yes.
bottles
No,
now.
no, exactly.
No more water
That's
bottles.
a one and done sort of
This is-
situation.
yeah. You can't. Yeah.
That's
Oh my
that's the world
God.
that's the world I want to get back to.
Yeah.
Popping water bottles off goalies' nets and drinking out of them.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's. I mean, the goal's right there, right? We're not getting back there. What are we
But
doing?
it's but it's kind of funny because Eric touched on it when we were saying like the podcast started. This is our 25th episode, which is kind of cool. So
Mhm.
25 straight
Yeah.
weeks, and it all started. I would definitely say, without a doubt, we've talked about this. If it wasn't for COVID and it was just normal times, we probably wouldn't have done
Probably
anything
not.
with the podcast period.
Yeah,
No way at all.
and you guys are turning around an episode a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just jump
Holy
on
cow.
and record for an hour or so, and then I play with it for a little bit, and then we
Wow.
upload it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I feel no, I feel like just having like the work that I do now. It's like more just a ton of like reading and like pulling stuff out, and we also do like a bunch of calls with our members and trying to identify like different trends. But the ability to go back and like listen to what we've just said in the past hour and pull things out and cut it together, like that's not an easy feat. Like that's
No, Aaron does.
25
He
weeks
does a
of
good
that.
job.
Yeah.
Aaron does a really good job.
I've gotten some practice, that's for sure. I've definitely gotten better over time.
I just drink and make
Yeah.
a few comments. He's really the rock star.
Oh.
Going to what you were just getting into about your work. So we kind of talked before about how your work and hockey are kind of starting to tie together, or you're noticing it.
Yeah, for sure. So I work in education policy now. So I moved out of the classroom and I now work for a nonprofit that supports district and state superintendents in education. So I'm a senior associate for policy and advocacy. So I like look a lot at like what we have a membership of 38 like education leaders like across the country. So I look to see like what they're doing, amplify best practices. I've gotten really good at this field because we've been interviewing people for the last couple of weeks. So I've like had to intro what I like so many times. I'm like, now I'm just on repeat. No, and then identify like challenges that they're facing and like aligned policy solutions, and then advocate for the solutions at the federal level, which has been huge during COVID. But yeah, like DCPS or like District of Columbia Public Schools, like Baltimore Public Schools, like all of the superintendents there are members or some of our members, and are doing like amazing work. And it's been really cool to be able to like follow them and see what they're doing. And that's sort of like the path that my like Fulbright took. Also, I was like more interested in systems level stuff. And my work in education has been like always focused like in the equity space, and especially like in the racial equity space, and looking like how systems of like oppression just inherently disadvantage different students in our education system. And I've
Sure,
like
you saw
sort of
plenty of that in
lived-
Mississippi.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And then in New York too, like I like kind of alluded to it, but it's like, yeah, like it's definitely like all the white people in Mississippi are like, oh, bless your heart for teaching Black children. And I'm like, oh my
Right.
God.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, I can't
Yeah.
believe you
Oh.
said that. And it's like the schools, like all the white kids go to private schools, all the Black kids go to public schools, like quite literally like rode down the tracks, like, this is the good side of town, this is the bad side of town. And just like that rhetoric. But then it's like you look in Brooklyn and like the podcast that New York Times put out this year, like Nice White Parents, it's like the same shit's happening in Dumbo. And you have, parents who are like, oh, like we're gonna get super involved and like change the school around in this neighborhood that we're gentrifying. And it's like you see just the same patterns just in like a masked fashion that are happening like across the country. And so, well, I mean, like the work that I've done in education paired with just sort of like the reckoning of like racial justice in June with like the killing of unarmed Black people, it also like really shined a light for me on how much of this also exists in the hockey space. And I feel like for a long time, I mean forever, like hockey has been like my mental escape. But I'm like, there is work to be done here, and there's like definitely a hockey culture, and you like look around hockey and it's all very white. For like, for the most part, but there are also like people who are doing like, I mean, I mentioned Erica Ayala earlier, and she's amazing. Like Black Girl Hockey Club has stepped up in ways that I'm like, this, you shouldn't be the only one who's like saying all of these things, and bringing people like to light the fact that like when the NHL is like, yeah, Black Lives Matter, and they like show like one picture of like a white dude going to like a Black Lives Matter protest, and I'm like, okay, this is not solving anything. You're also like, this is just an example of like how you could be performative. But yeah, I think that like, just turning like the next page of like how I meld my work together. I got into this like leadership fellowship program that I'm doing, and like my capstone project is like looking at how to like grow the women's hockey community, connect the women's hockey community in a way that is like more equitable. So like there's for the past couple of years, I've coached the Washington Wolves, which is the women's ice hockey team in DC. And so there's a C team and a D team, and we play out of Fort DuPont, which is a rink in Ward 7.
Yeah.
And the rink kicks back like a ton of support to the community, and like making sure that people in the community like have the opportunity to skate, have the opportunity to play hockey. And so each year we've like run a fundraiser for them, and done like a little 3v3 tournament, and brought in some money to help support and kick back some funds to subsidize hockey in the area. So it's like just building on that, and like building on the momentum that like, you come to an area and you like plug into the hockey community. I like moved here from New York, and I was like obsessed with New York. And then I come here and I was like, Lindsay, this place is trash. And like 6, I don't know. It's like I started playing hockey, and like 6 months in, I was like, I have a community. Like I have the sport that I love, and I'm like, I love DC. Like I was like, I can have a car here, and like there's outdoors, and I can like drive, I can drive to the beautiful Maryland, and like go out.
Amber, some of us live here just because it's not New York. Gosh.
But no, I mean we're looking to buy a house here. Like we're totally settling down. But like a huge reason of that is like the hockey community. So it's like, hockey is such an amazing thing, and trying to identify like those opportunities to like break down the systems that have like kept people from playing hockey, and like people of color and people from low income backgrounds, and trying to identify like how do you actually like set up a conversation about that. And like how it's like you look around the NHL and the NWHL, and you're like, there are very few like BIPOC players. And like why is that happening, and how do you like elevate the voices that exist, like Erica, like Black Girl Hockey Club? And then how do you also like build a different system where it's like anyone who wants to play can play? So I have like a little crew that I'm working with that are all just like some pretty heavy hitters like in the women's hockey community, just to help bridge those gaps and like connect the community. And we've started pulling together some emails of everyone who like every woman that we know that like plays in the area, just to start like building some momentum around it. So it's exciting stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny you mentioned the Washington Wolves. My wife has actually played you guys. My wife played hockey, and before
is she on the
she had her
Frederick
second kid,
Firestorm?
She is.
Yeah.
So I know Eric said the hockey community is small, and it's very small.
It is, man.
Big time.
That's awesome that your wife plays. That's great.
Yeah. So she'll probably be back next season, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, the Wolves, like it's also been interesting during COVID, and I'm sure you guys have probably seen something similar, just like the demographic of people who have been playing. So it's like the Wolves we have a C team and a D team. Both teams range in age. Well, the D team is definitely on the older side. The C team ranges in age from like 24 to like probably like 50-ish. But the Wolves pretty unanimously, there was like 18 players that like were interested in playing, but out of the group of like 45, like there wasn't a critical mass to like do anything. And then like Mawa, it's like, we're not having a season. But there's been like the same group of not Wolves, but like a combination of all the other teams that have been like playing consistently and just going to like all these different skates. But it's definitely like a different, like much younger demographic. Yeah, we have a 70-year-old who plays on the Wolves and just got a knee replacement.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that means everyone's screwed now.
Yeah,
Yeah. She
Wheeling
plays on
ar-
our 3v3
wheeling
team, too.
around.
Oh,
So is that
3v3 team.
yeah, I would love to do that 3v3 thing.
It's so fun.
Give me
Whitey's
some
is
small
awesome.
area
It's also
game.
like pretty cheap to rent out, but we've like rented it out like for some just like scrimmages too. But it's a blast.
That's
Have you
cool.
seen it?
Eric and I took our mites
Yeah.
team there a few years ago
Oh,
on Whitey's
my
Pond
God.
in Laurel,
yeah, yeah.
the Laurel Outdoor
Yeah,
Rink.
yeah.
Mhm.
It was sick.
It was actually fun because I had the eye black on and everything. Like
Yeah.
I get super into the
Yeah.
outdoor stuff. I love it. And there were 2 or 3 kids that I told all the parents 100 times leading up to them, like, this game's gonna be a little different. Not because it's a scrimmage, but it's outside. It's supposed to be about 35 with wind. If you want, give your kids some cheap sunglasses because the sun's gonna be shining. I would encourage eye black and maybe gloves under their gloves and all that stuff.
Johnny plays for keeps.
Yeah, I don't
was
mess
like-
around.
He was trying to
I
get
don't mess
all
around.
the advantage.
He's
I
like,
wanted-
"You need eye
I
black,
wanted-
get
well,
him
the
on
worst
your
is-
pre-workout
So I
beforehand."
did the eye black. I did the eye black as like kind of like a joke thing. Like but I was reffing,
Yeah,
so like it helped. But the best, I'm like, oh, do you want some eye black? Do you want some? And all the parents are like, you're a freaking idiot, dude. Like, get out of here. And then like 5 minutes into it, when they realized, because the Tri-City team was kind of smart, they're like, yeah, we'll have that net to start, not knowing, oh, the sun
The
goes this
sun.
way. Yeah, it goes this way. So all the parents are like, hey, Johnny, you got some of that eye black? I'm like, no, I locked it up. You didn't want it, so I can't do anything for you, but
Like, I'm taking this away.
I know.
So
Yeah,
fun.
we skated on actually the old guys pond a few years ago. It was still one of the best things we've done
Oh yeah.
in the last couple of years.
It's
Just
so
all
fun.
day. I know, it's a shame. I
Yeah.
want it to
Yeah, I
freeze
actually
so
learned
bad.
today, and I did not know this before, but the reflecting pool down by the Lincoln Memorial was an ice rink at one point.
Yeah.
It like froze in like
Huh.
1923, and they
Yeah,
like thought they were like thinking about making it into like a permanent winter, little wonderland, and like putting compressors under there or whatever, and like making it the world's largest ice rink. But tragically,
Yeah.
that idea was passed up. So
Yeah.
now we have Fort Dupont as our only indoor ice rink.
But yeah, like I don't know if you've seen the pictures from like the early 20s when it used to
Mhm.
freeze, but it's wild. Like there are people out there in ice skates and like full 3-piece suits.
Yeah,
And,
it's
like,
Top hats.
Yeah, it's wild. Like
Tails.
It's cool.
roaring
And then-
20s. We got
Well, yeah, 'cause
flappers
they-
out there. wearing
Yeah,
the
they
dresses.
kinda-
Flappers,
They they treated it almost like the Ottawa Canal. Like they almost treated it
Yeah.
like there,
Yeah.
like people would skate.
Yeah, like Rideau,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm sure
yeah.
they definitely had like an illegal speakeasy somewhere down there. I'm sure it's still there.
And
Sure
They
then,
used to
I-
have
like-
in the Netherlands this thing where it's like, and it hasn't been cold enough to do it, but they used to have like an annual like skate between like 17 different cities or something like that.
Oh wow.
And it's like all of these like rivers have to freeze in order for it to be a thing, but it's like
Oh, wow.
they're huge into speed skating. Like hockey was definitely like smaller, but like
Yeah.
speed skating and field hockey are huge. But
And I don't know how long you've been in DC, but like I grew up in the area.
Mhm.
The C&O Canal will freeze occasionally enough that you can skate on it. And there's like most of the people that are involved in the hockey community around here, like you'll hear about it like now it's on social media. Before it would be like, email or whatever.
Mhm.
People will go down there and there will be, multiple pond hockey games going on the C&O Canal, just people showing up. I think it's like Lock 7 or something like that. It's only happened a few times, but it's awesome. Like
That's so cool.
it's so cool.
Yeah, the canals in Amsterdam froze once, and I got to skate on them. It was great.
Yeah.
There's
cool.
a little park up here, Pinecliff. Eric was the one who told me about it, and I remember like him and I would email back. This is like when I first started playing men's league when I was like 18, 19, and I met him. And he's like, "Hey man, the Pinecliff Park, it may freeze like in 2 weeks." I was looking at the schedule and it did. And he goes, "We only will have this Saturday." So it was like Austin, his son, me, him, and then like some other people. We didn't have a net or anything, but we just skated around and just passed the puck. It was, I mean, and
Yeah.
for us, like we live in Maryland, so we know those opportunities are so far and few between just to be able to skate outside. Oh, it's so great.
Yeah, there's this pond hockey tournament out in Colorado in Silverthorne, the PBR pond hockey tournament.
Yep.
Yes.
Have you guys heard of it?
Yes.
Yeah, we
yes.
went the past 2 years and won the past 2 years.
Oh,
Yeah, and we were supposed to go this year, but like COVID,
Oh.
we're not going, but we got free entry.
We were joking last week. We were kind of joking like a COVID bucket list, like, for hockey.
Uh-huh.
So it'd be like an AHL game. All of us would go, and we're like, we got to do a pond hockey tournament. We've talked about it for 10 years.
So fun. Yeah, it is so
Yeah.
fun. And it was hysterical too, because like, it's more of like I guess like a local thing. Like all the other teams were from Colorado.
Sure.
So it's like we brought in a team. It's like my sister found out about the tournament, brought in a couple girls from California. My buddy Julie from like growing up came in from Idaho where she lives now. We had like some people from New York come out. So we had like this hodgepodge team of like people from literally all over, and just got an Airbnb like close to the rink, and it was awesome.
That's awesome.
Hey, if she wants to play on our team, we're going on the East Coast. We could bring Amber on the team.
Where are you guys going? Or have you? They have some in Vermont, too.
There's
Lake
like
Louise.
Yeah. We want to go to Alberta for sure.
Yeah. Really, we want to do the one in Burlington, ideally.
Yeah.
Burlington, Vermont.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
I don't want to say the donkeys are going, but Dylan is organizing a team.
Well, that's Maryland
again.
Crabs, though. That's Crabs.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Well, I also heard about the
Yeah.
faction, the division of the donkeys and the crabs. So
Yes. Yeah. Well, so like Goody and Dylan kind of went off and did the Crabs on their own,
Mhm.
and it's actually made up of players from the Donkeys and
OFBG.
Guys.
Yeah.
Oh.
So they're gonna
Yeah.
get shunned.
Yeah.
They won't be invited. So that means the donkeys won't invite them to the award show they hold every rats. Oh man.
They can't. They can't
they won't
buy
be-
the. They can't buy the Jeep wheel covers.
Yeah, they can't do
Yeah,
that.
right.
We just the biggest
Yeah.
thing with the donkeys, it's actually not always the on ice thing. It's they have shells, they have jumpsuits, they have
Mhm.
bags, and
The
all the other
swag.
stuff. And we're like, well, yeah, and it's like, why? Like, what's going on
Yeah.
here? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm probably one of the more outspoken ones. I'm like, you guys must have not have played on a lot of youth sports teams growing up. Just yelling at them like I'm pretty
Doing it for the stats. I mean, that's a good
exactly.
one.
Yeah. You're gonna say it next week, and everyone's like, "You're so mean." You're like, "That's not for me. I swear. I stole that. That's not for me."
No, I'm using that dragon burn for sure.
Yeah,
Totally out of context.
Yeah,
We're
but you
playing the
gotta.
Pride
You have to
on
meet
Saturday.
a.
I'll bring it out with the 19-year-old. I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding.
The worst part is in this day and age, in 2021, you're gonna say it, and some kid's gonna turn and go, "How'd you know?" Like that's probably what's even worse.
No,
Still
funny.
waiting for that one.
So, Amber, is there anything else that you want to talk about that you? I mean, we don't have a huge platform to get on a soapbox on, but
I mean, it is your quarter of a century podcast.
It is,
though,
yeah.
So I mean, you're 25% of the way to 100.
That's right.
Don't undercut yourself. No, not anything. Off the top of my head. I mean, thank you for the invite. Like I said, I feel like I'm really like riding this 1 year of like playing in the NWHL like for the rest of my life.
That's a pretty cool experience, though. I mean,
yeah,
we didn't really ask you a whole lot about that. Did you guys didn't do quite so well that first season, though, if I recall.
No,
right?
we were like a gritty team of like, we did beat Boston though on my birthday. So really nothing better than that, honestly. Who even needs a playoff spot? Well, actually it was funny, like at the end of the season, like, so Buffalo like came and like played, we had like lost, they were playing like Boston, I think in New York or in Newark. And ended up losing, but we were like partying with them afterwards, and we were like at a random bar like in Chelsea, and like there was a random trophy, and we like picked it up and took a picture, and we're like, we're the first last place team ever.
That's awesome.
but But just the excitement in the league, like the first year, and the fact that there are like so many players that are still involved in like, every aspect, like Stretchy's coaching, like Lando's still playing on the Whale, Weber's still playing on the Whale, like Packer has gone from like love the girl but being a little bit of a mess like the first year to now being like the captain of the Riveters and like a mom. Like it's been amazing to sort of see like the progression. Like Kira's still playing on the Riveters, like Bray was like on the Riveters and then was like GM of Connecticut. And just to like also watch like Danny so gracefully like grow the league to where it was or like to where it is now, and then like transition off. And there's, tremendous opportunities for women's hockey. Like even just like I mentioned, and you guys probably saw it too, is like they had like 1.3 million viewers this weekend. And like landed a partnership with Discover, like are going to be on NBC.
That's massive.
NBC's like going under, but like, yeah, I think just the coverage that it's getting, the momentum that it's getting is huge. And it was, amazing to be to be part of the beginning of that. And just to be able to continue to be like involved in any way. Super random part of my hockey career that we didn't talk about, but I will bring up, almost as random as Netscape. I did play ball hockey. I had like a stint playing ball hockey and like played for the US team and played over in the Czech Republic in Worlds in 2018.
That's sick.
And ended up winning a silver medal. It was just so fucking weird because so Cherie is actually the one who got me into ball hockey, the same woman who like played on the Riveters with me and like picked me up and drove my ass to Lake Placid. And like ball hockey is like, we were playing in front of like stadiums filled with like thousands of people in the Czech Republic, and like you could say ball hockey here and people are like, what is ball hockey? And yeah, I just bring it up too because they're like looking for coaches for the like the national team for 2022, and my name was like thrown into the hat, and I was like, yeah, whatever. I'm like, sounds good. So I don't know. I don't know if something will pan out there, but it was so entertaining. Yeah.
It's one of those things like floorball, because I have like a floorball stick and I'll mess around, and it's like over here, it's like you'll see some hockey kids do it as like a warm up. That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe every now and then you'll see like Pavel Barber, I know, will mess around with a little bit, and he's like, oh, this is a great off ice tool. And you go to Europe, they like play in the hockey arenas and they pack the thing. It's crazy.
Yeah, or bendy. Bendy's another thing.
Bandy.
I want to
play
bandy. Yeah. I saw it in the
is.
Netherlands and I was like, what the hell is going on? No, it's probably bandy. I mean,
You've actually seen it. I've just seen
obscure sports.
Well, I want to almost circle back though. It's kind of funny how you were mentioning the National Women's Hockey League, how you were on the ground floor to start.
Mm-hmm.
They had 1.3 million views, on their stream. Whoever in the I want to say this, whoever in the management circle or in the media side of it, whoever decided we're going to stream it on Twitch until the NBC deal kicks in, whoever decided that person needs $1 million bazillion dollars, anything like a ton of game stock. They need that. Like, give them something. They need the get that song. But whoever came with that, because we were joking about it. I self-admittedly, because I'm closed-minded on technology, and I do think it's all Skynet to some extent. Like I had to sign up for Twitch. I was like, what the hell is this platform? I'm not a video game streamer. I don't need it. Like I downloaded it.
You guys say that, but you use Discord.
I know.
He doesn't use Discord. He has been required.
Hold on a second. He doesn't use it. He has to use it.
I have to use it.
Like the only reason why I know about Twitch or Discord is because my wife, because she's like a gamer.
But yeah, I was so thrilled when I logged on to watch the first Ribs game. I was like, man, this is super convenient. This is easy. And then seeing the chat platform in there, I was like, man, this is great. Like, this
and
is
they'll have their emotes.
This is great to join the stream. And the one thing I did notice, and we kind of joked how Twitter sometimes is a dumpster fire, but everything I saw in the chat, I did not engage in anything. It was all super positive, super cool. Like, no gypsies or anything, like no.
Yeah, well, they also have moderators that are like.
Yeah,
that's insanely smart. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying.
But you can tell when something's getting moderated. They weren't having to dump too much, so I think the chat was in general pretty positive to begin with. Yeah, even before moderation. So
yeah, and also Twitch too. It's a younger. I mean, and I'm not a tech blogger or anything, but it's a younger platform. More kids are going to go to that. So you're going to see more eyes from a youth
And young
perspective in
folk.
terms of girl. Yeah. The youths out there are going to look at
The
that
youths.
on the computer machines. Yeah. On the computer machine. Yeah. Yeah, I know. So, yeah. So, I mean, I get right, Aaron. I still get my interwebs from the CD, right, Aaron?
Yeah. He's got 5,000 free hours.
modem.
He's only on like 22.
Oh my god.
I need an AIM handle to log on to this. What is this? Yeah.
No, I saw something. Well, this joke won't land as well with you guys, but you remember like all those like random like cartoon sort of like people that you could make, like little cartoon like emojis almost.
Bitmoji?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but like way before Bitmoji, like early AIM sort of computer days. But I saw something on Instagram the other day, and then it was like, if you made one of these, start using eye cream. Like you're old. Like this is when you go into preventative measures. Like, hit hard. Yeah.
Well, you know what? So I was joking with a coworker today. I know I'm old now because when I saw snow and stuff on the ground, my girlfriend, she's a teacher in Frederick County, and she on Monday night at like 7:00 was like, "Hey, we don't have school." I'm like, "Are you freaking kidding me? Like this is insane." And I'm like, I didn't go up a hill with my books or anything both ways, but I know we went to school when there was this much snow on the ground. Then even today they canceled it again. I'm like, this is how I know I'm old, because I'm still at home due to COVID, and I'm like
one of those who complains about the schools closing.
Yeah, these. I'm just like, I feel like an old man.
They're not hard.
I know. I feel like an old, like an old man in the Dust Bowl. Like
the person without the kid.
Yeah, the one without the kid.
Yeah, the one without the kid.
Yeah, the one without the kid. God. Exactly. Yeah.
No kids.
Oh man.
Well, thank you so much, Amber, for coming on. This has been so awesome. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. We'll definitely have to have you back on anytime that you want to. Thanks again for spending some time with us tonight.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I'm going to need an invite to one of those Sunday skates. That's honestly the price of, yeah.
That is doable.
I got to get a true beers in the lot.
Yeah, if we get invited here 3-on-3, we'll make it happen.
Consider it a deal. I mean, the ice melts in about March, so it's going to need to be a fast fix.
Pretty
but,
quick.
That's right. Yeah.
All right, that's fine.
Well, have a great one. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Amber. We really appreciate
All right, bye, guys.
it. Bye.
Of course, yeah. Good luck.
Thank you again for listening. Please remember to tell your friends, family members, ex-teammates, current teammates, whether they played pro, semi-pro, professional, anything like that. Just let them listen to the episode. And if you want to engage on more conversation with us, please go to beersinalot.com/Discord. Thanks. Catch you next week.